Let's get started with the news. Trump named time of the year, person of the year. Hello?
By his tower, is able to stay at home last night, and then is going to be ringing the bell. And he's got to be excessively happy because we know he likes to collect magazine covers.
Right.
But now he doesn't have to mock one up. For the second time, he is Time Magazine's Person of the Year. To me, there are other contenders, but if they did anything but name him, that would be flat out biased.
Well, so Time.com has just released that, and I'm looking at the actual article, and it's great. It said, and the subheadline is, "If what comes next is anything like what he promises, Trump will reshape the nation and the world." And that is why so many people, according to polls, which we're going to get into very shortly.
Dude, they're trying to be doing the same exact thing that they did with Hitler again. You know what I mean? Not wrong, but in a good way. No, I mean they're not wrong in a bad way for sure. Like they're not wrong. Also, there's a bunch of stuff from the interview where apparently he admits prices likely won't go down, won't rule out war with Iran, says he agrees with Sarah McBride, and doesn't want to talk about the trans bathroom issue. Yeah. That's because he is a room reader and understands that like the trans panic shit does not work. It's sweaty and gross loser shit. I will forever stand by that. I know that things change and attitudes change and culture shifts. But the problem is, for many Americans, they just don't give a fuck about trans people like that. It only works if you know, it only works if like people can just be like, look at these silly goofy ass Democrats that don't give a fuck about like fixing the prices. They only care about like giving free trans surgeries to Latinx people or whatever. You know what I mean? Like most people just don't give a shit. The sweaty fucking loser constituency that like only cares about trans people are very, they're marginal. They're loud, but they're marginal. They're just like popping off online.
People are really up.
Everyone I don't like is Hitler. Bro, come on now. I mean, come on now. You can make it. If you can't say Trump's got some Hitlerian politics, who the fuck can you call Hitler? Latinx is not real, bro. I know. I'm that's a joke. Anytime you hear me say fucking Latinx, know that I'm memeing, okay? Dude. Who the fuck can we say it has exhibited Hitlerian qualities, if not a guy who is just like who fucking ran on saying, I'm gonna do concentration camps to deport 20 million people. It's crazy, man. What? It's wild. I saw someone say that calling Trump Hitler was anti-Semitic. Yeah, people are just fucking so brain broken. All right, we'll get in that. Let's just keep going
about the next 4 years. Look, over the last 4 years, things have not gone well, and people are ready for something new, something better.
He was Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 2016 when he won that election. Also up for the other contenders were Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, Kate Middleton, and Kamala Harris. But
and Benjamin Netanyahu.
Well,
that's right.
It's hard to believe that the election was just last month. And I mean,
feels like he's already the president, right?
Exactly. I mean, and to Joe Biden's credit, he's essentially stepped out of the way and allowed Donald Trump to start doing what he's doing right now. And I think when you look at the other people that were considered, he was the only choice. I mean, you can't have Kamala Harris that lost the election, then become the person of the year.
But by the way, as Trump moved in, you know, he has Steve Witkoff over in the Middle East. He's got Tom Homan working the border, doing his appearances. Already. So he's got that going. The President of the United States got rid of the FBI director, put so much pressure on him. He actually saluted.
I can't believe it's only been a month. I actually cannot believe it's only been a month since this happened, because it feels like a lifetime ago. Like, it literally feels like it was a year ago that the election happened. And goddamn, God damn, dude.
Saluted the moment that he set aside. Great day for America. And then he's got his nominees stealing out of the spotlight in Capitol Hill. So they're following him around.
And he's already calling the Prime Minister of Canada, meeting with him.
Getting
He's
stuff
already
done.
calling the
But
President
Ainsley,
of
you know what's
Mexico.
different now?
What?
It's not really Trump tweeting or going. It's kind of like the things he's doing rather than the things he's saying.
Action.
You think he learned from mistakes 4 years ago?
I don't know. I think it's definitely intentional. I also don't think he's not in the middle of an investigation. No one's questioning the authenticity of his election.
No.
They're not talking about Michael Flynn making a call from Puerto Rico and them saying he's talking to the Russians about some secret deal to toss the country.
Even Fetterman was tweeting on Truth Social. I think he's the first Democratic lawmaker to get on Truth Social and tweeted out that Donald Trump should be pardoned for the case here in New York.
You know what, Ainsley, to your point about why he's doing things differently last time, I think last time when he won, it was kind of a surprise. It's like, okay, I ran for a year, but I won. Now what do I do?
Yeah, it was a surprise because Americans were kind of oblivious to the ways in which America operates, okay? Many Americans were oblivious to the anger and resentment that a lot of people felt towards these institutions that ruined their lives. And many Americans were like, oh, they'll never vote for this like racist charlatan. There's no way. And Americans were like, nah, dog, that guy is just like me for real. He's talking like me and he's walking like me. And I think part of that shock came from the broadest subsects of society that still were laser focused on mainstream media as their primary source of information, that I think were deluding themselves into a different America than the one that actually exists. One where people do have reverence for the institutions, if that makes sense. And it's not. That's not the America that we live in. And that's part of the reason why I don't think there's going to be a revamp of the... that's why I don't believe that there's going to be a revamp of like the hashtag resistance liberalism that happened immediately after Trump got elected the first time. What I mean by this is it was a shock for a lot of liberals who got a wake-up call and were like, we got to do something against this. We got to do something for it. And then they did, and then they protested, and not many things changed, right? Like nothing really changed. A lot of young people, I talked about this quite a bit in 2020. I think a lot of young people's first foray into political action was literally direct action. In the midst of COVID, there's a lot of panic, there's a lot of anger, and they see police brutality. They consider it to be unacceptable. They take it to the fucking streets. And then what came of that mass mobilization? Nothing. And when that happens and you get nothing after doing all of it, that you go out and you vote for the right guy and nothing changes. You go out and you march, you go out and you protest, you fuck shit up and nothing changes. Yeah, at that point you're going to be like, well, I'm a little disillusioned by this process. So that's the problem, you know? Chatter said your katanas are upside down. No, they're not. And I don't care. Not only are they not upside down, but even if they were, I wouldn't care. I like it the way it is. Yes, they are. Okay, I don't care. I like it the way it is. BLM, March for Our Lives, Women's March, youth climate stuff, all kind of led to nothing for progressive Gen Zers. Yeah. How do you expect, or why do you expect progressive next generation people that took it to the goddamn streets, that did everything, that did like the outside of the politics stuff, but then also they went out and they voted, and then they didn't see any positive changes in their lives. How do you expect anyone to feel like their voice matters in this process? I think their voice clearly doesn't matter in this process, and they came to that recognition and they felt disillusioned, and now we're living in the ashes of that.
He's done it once before.
Yeah, that's true.
Some mistakes are always made along the way, but he's figured out how he has wanted to do it more efficiently, and so far, so good. And
Elise Stefanik, by the way, got the Fetterman endorsement yesterday. That's the first time I've seen a Democrat come out and say that. Yeah, and they took a picture together.
And to your point about Joe Biden just laying low, he's not doing anything except an historic number of pardons and commutations. Over 1,500 issued this morning.
I don't think he's going to give us any comment about that.
I don't think so either.
Anyway, we're calling this the Trump effect, and it is in full swing. The last Fox News poll of the year is showing that the majority of voters feel hopeful about his victory, 54%.
That's right. And with under 6 weeks until Inauguration Day on January 20th at noon, plans are well underway, including an invitation to the China President Xi Jinping to show up live in Washington. If he accepted, he would be the first foreign leader to ever attend.
Is that right? That's right.
Bro, he's going to make a MAGA communist out of me. I swear to God. I swear to Christ, dude. Yo, what are you doing, man? Oh, God. His love for, like, strong men is so crazy. Bro, they're championing this like it's a good thing, as if their viewers don't hate China. No, I mean, but Trump thinks it's a good thing because Trump is like, I'm very strong on China, but also at the same time, not only he's very strong on China, but also he likes the strongman aspects of Chinese governance. He likes that Xi is a strong man. Like he likes him for the wrong reasons, I guess. Kind of. Like he doesn't like the centralized power for the broad, 15, 20-year agendas that can dramatically improve the material conditions of like Chinese people with like even development and stuff like that. But he likes it for the mass surveillance apparatus and the fact that like maybe he looks at it and he's like, well, you guys are really cleaning. You guys are really cleaning our pockets with your economy. I don't like it. And they worship you. They worship you over there. I want them to worship me. Yeah, it's crazy. He's jealous of Xi's perfect hairline. Yeah, he does have a really good hairline.
The first foreign
I'm hoping
leader to ever attend.
it's in the script.
Okay. And Trump's inaugural fund getting a boost from a surprising source, from Mark Zuckerberg.
This is only a surprising source if you're a fucking idiot, okay? This is the least surprising revelation. I've been saying this. It's only surprising if you're like, oh, I don't understand. We've been lying and saying Mark Zuckerberg is woke for the last like 4 years when it's very clear that he was never actually woke. He's a fucking billionaire. Of course he wasn't woke. They're like, oh, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that the company, the social media billionaire that is responsible perhaps for the most active right-wing QAnon radicalization is paying the piper, is bending the knee to the guy that he thinks is very cool. Of course, these guys are going to kiss the ring. Of course, they want favorable deals. They know Trump will play ball if they kiss that ring. Trump is not like a super petty, super vindictive guy. I don't think. He's not. He's a narcissist. You give him his flowers and he's going to be like, "Great. I love that." Can you help briefly explain why conservatives seem to be very concerned about human trafficking but are so callous with other issues concerning endangerment and rights violations of the general population? They're not actually worried about human trafficking either. They're just worried about like a conspiracy of human trafficking that they've concocted in their brains. I mean, the most famous instance of human trafficking that happened under the Biden administration in broad daylight when Republican governors Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis actively trafficked humans from Texas to blue states to successfully blow up the processing structure that existed for people that wanted to get temporary protected status or legally seek out asylum. They did that. You know, they did that. They did that in broad daylight, and Biden did nothing about it. And it was one of the most successful ways of using humans and human trafficking to prove a point. Now, the real point that they proved was, yeah, if you dump 100,000 people that are supposed to have their day in court and get legally processed through the system into unsuspecting blue cities, and then the federal government doesn't actually get in. The federal government doesn't actually step in and like try to help to alleviate some of the stress here. Then yeah, it's going to destroy the structure that exists. That's the only thing that they proved. The only thing they proved is when there's no federal mechanism of pushback that right-wing governors get away with human trafficking.
Meta donating $1 million as the tech billionaire looks to mend ties with Trump. Because remember, he took him off of Facebook in 2021 and then put him back on a few years later. That tells you a lot that they're mending their relationship.
Yeah. He grew his hair out and he started doing jiu-jitsu. I don't know if it's related.
And he wanted to take on Elon Musk and it never happened.
Yeah, he's trying to look more like Danny Penny, perhaps. Also, remember, the Zuckerbucks in those key districts made him put his hand on the scale with a shadow banning of conservative groups and conservative politicians. And he's not the only.
I think it's kind of crazy because so much of like virtually every single thing this guy just said. Remember, this is the most popular news network in the United States of America. Okay. And virtually every single thing that man just said, Brian, kill me. Every single thing he said is just a straight up lie, okay? There is no other way to tackle the issue without just addressing that he is just lying. Like the Zuckerbucks or the fact that Facebook was actively suppressing conservative opinions. This is a falsehood. Spend any time on Meta products. Spend any time on Facebook, and you will very quickly understand that this is just a straightforward lie, okay? Facebook is filled to the brim with the most insane right-wing sentiment. Right-wing content creators on the news tab on Facebook have consistently dominated. Back when I was a Facebook content creator for the Young Turks, I couldn't believe I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like these guys were actively going to Congress and saying, Facebook is suppressing us. Facebook is silencing us. Facebook is blacklisting us, right? When in fact, they weren't doing that at all, okay? They were not doing that at all. In that process, while they were cry-bullying Facebook to get more favorable algorithmic outcomes for themselves, they were already dominating the algorithm, okay? They were already dominating, and they never stopped dominating the algorithm. They've always dominated the algorithm, but what happened in that process is that they turned around and they hired right-wing Republicans. Okay, here, Facebook's top 10s. Yep. Facebook top 10s, a bot that posts the source of the top 10 performing links. This is on October 7, 2020. The top performing link posts on U.S. Facebook pages in the last 24 hours are from Dan Bongino, Fox News, Fox News, Fox News, Donald Trump for president, Fox News. Number 7, TMZ. Number 8 is CNN. Number 9 is NPR. Number 10 is CNN. And they still, at this time, were complaining about how much Facebook was suppressing the truth, how much Facebook was suppressing right-wing sentiment. This was never a real thing. You understand? Republicans are so good at creating fake grievances, leaning on those fake grievances, and then creating an environment where they make everybody believe these fake grievances and then use Congress to basically bully these massive institutions, these big ass social media companies, in an effort to get even more favorable results than the ones that they already have. This is kind of similar to the way that right-wing grievances in the sphere of like Christian nationalism works, right? Most people understand that the idea that like Christianity and Christian thoughts are being suppressed in the United States of America is fucking stupid. Like the war on Christmas shit, right? Everybody laughs at this. But the real reasons why the Republicans actually run with this falsehood is because it's not necessarily that Christianity is being suppressed. The reason why they go with this grievance politics is because they match up some kind of like oppression, some kind of anti-Christianity oppression with gay people existing, with women being able to get abortions. It's a way to reframe restrictions that they want to implement it's a way to propagandize their position. It's a way to reframe the restrictions that they actually want to implement on others by saying, no, we don't want to restrict other people's freedoms. It's just that you're restricting my freedom. Okay? That's it. And it's the same process here where it's like, it's not that the right is being silenced. That's not real. They just made it up. But the real reason why they say that is so that they get even more favorable algorithmic boosts. That is the main purpose of this, and it works. That's how they get Congress to bully Facebook and maybe even threaten Facebook with like trust busting, for example, so that Facebook will then turn around and bring forward a right-wing people. Yeah, exactly. Work the referees. Thank you. Man Plan 80. They work the referees a little bit so that they go and they hire, Heritage Foundation people to do their content moderation. That's the real purpose here. And they have done that. They've been doing this since like 2016. Right? Like it's not new. It's not new at all. They had like people from Tucker Carlson's Daily Caller doing moderation on Facebook. It's ridiculous, Yes, I saw the Brett Stevens headline. Let's finish this up and then we'll move on to that.
Differences aside. Democratic Senator John Fetterman joining Truth Social to, quote, meet folks where they are, especially in Pennsylvania, by the way, and calling to pardon Trump in his very first post. He also mentioned Hunter.
And I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
Well, thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually. But we did a good job. We had a great first term, despite a lot of turmoil caused unnecessarily. But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that. But I do want to thank Time Magazine. I've been on the cover many times. I don't know who has the record, but I can only probably talk well about 25%.
Hitler. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. How many times did Times Magazine choose Hitler as the man of the year? They have chosen Stalin a bunch of times as well, so maybe it's Stalin. RFK Jr. looks like a processed corpse because he is having the greatest food that you could possibly consume. FDR has 3.
Percent of the covers. 25% are great. The others I just sort of hide. But it's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you. And thank you very much for doing it. And thank the whole group at Time. Really very professional people. Thank you very much. And to Jeff and all of the people from the New York Stock Exchange, he knows how much I like it because many years ago I bought a.
All right, let's talk about some of the stuff that he mentioned in this interview. Okay. Is there an actual interview? Like, was it filmed at all? Or is it just like written? Because to summarize some of the serious parts of the interview, yeah, you had an extraordinary year. Glaze, okay? Flawless campaign. I call it 72 days of fury. There were no days off, no timeouts. If you made a mistake, it would be magnified at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We hit something that was very special. We hit the nerve of the country. They don't want to see jails emptied out into our country. They don't want to see people from mental institutions being dismissed from their institutions. Okay? Mr. President, what did Democrats not get? You said they didn't get it. What do you mean by that? I don't think they got the feel of the country. The country was angry because of immigration, because of the people, millions and millions of people. No. This is one of the most frustrating parts about like how successful propagandizing works. The country is angry. This is correct. It's just that the Republicans recognize that anger and redirect that anger towards immigrants. That's it. But the country is angry because of the economy. And the immigrants are not actually contributing to the economy in negative ways. As a matter of fact, they're contributing to the economy in positive ways. So that's the unfortunate problem here, that only one side at least recognizes the anger and then channels that anger to appropriate vectors of hate. Vectors that are inoffensive to the current existing hierarchies, just to confuse people, just to divide people, just to turn around and say like, yeah, no, it's not the wealthy, it's not the rich that are fucking you over. It's actually the migrants. And that's it. Anyway, they were saying much lesser number. It wasn't a much lesser number, but even if it was, it's irrelevant because if it was, they were allowing anybody to come into the country. They are right now. They open it up again. You see what's going on. They're coming. They're pouring up. They're Mexico and other places. It's common sense, yada, yada, yada. They want to see people come in. They don't want to see, you can have, and this is one, they don't want to see, as another example, open borders. They want to see people come in. Everyone's okay with it. I am certainly. I want to have a lot of people coming because we're going to bring back a lot of jobs. We'll bring record numbers of jobs. You are using the word appropriate inappropriately. No, appropriate vectors of hate is like, what I mean by that is these are weak and underserved, marginalized groups. So it is appropriate from the perspective of capital owners to redirect the attention against them. Does that make sense? That's it. Because when you shit on the blob of undocumented immigrants, or when you shit on an entire population of trans people, like, you're not disruptive. You're not actually harming the status quo. Yeah, just use a different word. Man, shut the fuck up. Okay, here, take a week off. I used it correctly. What are we doing here? The fuck's happening with the wokes of the day? Everyone is trying to be the woke of the day today. It seems we're just an hour in and people are still being fucking annoying. Stop being annoying. Anyway, the economy was certainly a big factor in your victory, but what was a bigger factor, I believe, was the border. I think the border, and I won it in 2016 on the border. I fixed the border. It was really fixed. They came in, dislodged everything. This is the border. I want to come back to immigration a little bit later. Let's start out on what's happening right now. You were elected on a promise to change Washington. By all accounts, the fight over that has already begun. One of your nominees was effectively blocked by the Senate. There are other senators who expressed doubts about some of your other nominees. Well, I don't think they will. And he wasn't blocked. I had the votes if I needed them. But I had to work very hard. He's talking about Gates. So you decided to give up on Gates? No, I didn't give up on him. I talked to him and I said, you know, Matt, I don't think this is worth the fight. Okay, he talks about how it's not worth the fight for Matt Gaetz. You know, that's so he is conceding on that front. You met in person with Gates and had 5 hard-nosed senators, not with the senators there. No, I called those senators. My relationship with the Senate is very good. Many of them I endorsed. Yada, yada, yada. I really don't care how they get them approved as long as they get them approved. It's up to the Senate. We commit to honoring Senate's authority to reject or confirm. Well, sure, I want him to do that. I don't think there's too many. I don't think that, look, everybody has. That's why they have menus in restaurants. Okay. Do you think the quote Trump verbatim in history books with all his pauses and shit? Okay, that's silly. I don't really care about that. What is this? My dad literally wants to invade Mexico, but my Mexican partner thinks the people in small Mexican towns would love that because you have to pay the cartel to leave the town, let alone the country. My boss had to pay $15,000 to bring her deported husband home. What? Good luck. Yeah. Yeah, they'll be waving the flags. I understand immigrants overall lead to economic growth, but is there specific data on illegal immigrants specifically? I mean, that is the same. Undocumented immigrants do lead to economic growth. It's the same as documented immigrants, but it's even more economic growth. The problem is our mistreatment of undocumented migrants is the real issue. Not processing them is the real issue. We just like hyper exploit them. And that also causes that also is a depressive force on overall wages in the country. Because if people can get away with like paying pennies on the dollar to a random person that has no legal recourse, no way to fucking defend themselves, then they will do that. If you truly wanted to stop the invasion of undocumented migrants or whatever, you would be punishing the people that hire them. Except we don't do that because the reason why there is a concept such as undocumented immigrants in the United States of America, the reason why we don't actually process these people and like allow them to work as documented laborers in the American structure is so that we can exploit them, so that we can keep them working at pennies on the dollar in fucking trailer parks and shit. It's basically just indentured servitude. That's the reason why we have a 2-tiered labor structure in this country. It's super cheap. It's not enough that even if someone was coming from a much poorer country, there would still be, even if someone was coming from a poorer country, there would still be a tremendous amount of people that are willing to work for much cheaper, right? If one more person sends me the fucking dumbass Enron CEO getting cream pied, I think I'm just going to end the broadcast. I know, man. I know. I don't care. Like, we'll get there, okay? But it's like very inconsequential, all right? Please stop. I'm trying to have a serious fucking conversation. Please. Focus up, chat. Yeah, I think it also seems fake. Like, it seems like it's a fake thing.
Oh my God! Oh my fucking...
Yeah, it's just fake. Like, it's fake as fuck. Y'all fall for the dumbest shit sometimes. Yeah. Anyway, one of them is controversial. I want to ask a specific question. RFK Jr., noted vaccine skeptic. We're going to have a big discussion. The autism rate is at a level nobody ever believed possible. If you look at the things that are happening, there's something causing it. Do you think it's linked to vaccines? No, I'm going to be listening to Bobby, who I've really gotten along with great and have a lot of respect for. Okay? For having to do with food, having to do with vaccinations. He does not disagree with vaccinations, all vaccinations. He disagrees probably with some. Oh my God, I don't know who Mondale Robinson is. Why the fuck would I care about someone quitting TYT? What is going on? Shut up! Shut the fuck up. Enough. Lock in, chat. Fucking lock in. I'm cranky. I'm cranky. I'm officially cranky. So that could include getting rid of some vaccinations. It could if I think that's dangerous, if I think that they're not beneficial, but I don't think it's going to be very controversial in the end. Do you agree with him about the connection between vaccines and autism? I want to see the numbers. It's going to be the numbers. Trump personally also believes that vaccines cause autism. He's talked about it before. He's like, he's talked about it, but he's also done Operation Warp Speed. So I think when push comes to shove, he will do what is beneficial. Okay. He will do what is beneficial, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to dial back on some of this other stuff because like his base loves it. It's like red meat to the base, and he will give that red meat to the base every single time. Mr. President, some foreign officials have expressed concern about sharing intelligence with Tulsi Gabbard given her position and support in Syria. I'm surprised to hear it because I think she is like a really great American. Hey, look, they said I was friendly with Russia until they saw the tapes, and they said, he's not actually. He was the one that ended the Russian pipeline, Nord Stream 2. Okay, no one says that. People still think he's friendly with Russia, even though he goes back and forth on it. So, So I don't know. I'm surprised to hear it. Thank you. But yeah, wait, what? No, that's generous. Thank you. By the way, do you want hors d'oeuvres or anything? No, that's generous. Thank you. You sure? Yes, but thank you. If you learn the foreign officials are withholding intelligence because she is the head of your intelligence, would that change your calculus? I don't know. I'm surprised to hear it. I heard that the first time the other day. I mean, she's a great American. Okay, I don't care about this. Project 2025. No, look, I don't disagree with everything in Project 2025, but I disagree with some things. I specifically didn't want to read it because it was under my auspices. And I want to be able to say that, the only way I can say I have nothing to do with it is if I don't read it. It's also because I don't know how to read. Yeah, he's going to do Project 2025. Okay. It's a lot of pages, 800 pages. That's a lot of pages. I thought it was inappropriate that they came out with it just before the election, to be honest with you. They should have waited until I won. Then I would do it. I let him know, I didn't think it was appropriate because it's not me. Why would they do that? Did you express those frustrations? Oh, I did. Okay, I don't care. Let's shift to a topic that I know you care about, immigration. You recently said on True Social, you are planning to use, okay, this is the good stuff. This is the important stuff. So he plans to use the military to deport migrants. The Posse Comitatus Act prohibits the use of military for domestic law enforcement. What will you do if the military does not or refuse to carry out your orders? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't stop the military if it's an invasion of our country. And I consider it an invasion of our country. We have criminals coming into our countries that we've never seen. We've never seen before. We have people coming in at levels and record numbers. He just straight up is like, I don't give a fuck about the law, which we know already. Bandit MD11, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. And also on top of that, he's saying he's going to basically utilize like whatever he can to enforce these insanely violent processes that he wants to implement. And I'll only do what the law allows, but I will go up to the maximum level of what the law allows. And I think in many cases, the sheriffs and law enforcement is going to need help. We'll also get the National Guard. If you can't negotiate agreements with the receiving governments and none seem receptive, will you of necessity have to hold these detained migrants in camps? I'll get them into every country. Or we won't do businesses. So you won't need to build more detention facilities. No, because look, we may have to do it anyway. Because look, they brought in millions of people. And many of those people, right here, he's just like openly recognizing, yes, we're going to have to build camps. You look at prison populations, what's happening all over the world except here. No, I can't even conceive of why they would allow criminals. Why would somebody do that? Why would somebody do that? So you're saying there won't be new camps, more camps to hold detained migrants. Well, there might be. Now, this is a question that I knew the answer to. Okay. Of course, there were going to be concentration camps. Like, you can't deport people without detaining them. And you can't detain people without putting them in concentration camps. That's it. That's it. Whatever it takes to get them out. I don't care, honestly. Whatever it takes to get them out. So for me to say this is Hitlerian is not an exaggeration. It's just an accurate understanding of Hitler and fascism in general. This is how it starts. Again, I'll do absolutely everything within the confines of the law, but if it needs new camps, but I hope we're going to need too many because I want to get them out, and I don't want them sitting in the camp for the next 20 years. I want them out. And the countries have to take them back. And if they don't take them back, we won't do business with those countries. We will tariff those countries very substantially. When they send products in, they will have substantial tariffs, and it's going to make it very hard for them to do business with us. Yeah. A question on the minds of a lot of Americans. Will you restore the policy of separating families? I don't think I won't have to do it because, first of all, it wasn't my policy. It was Obama's policy. Rainey draws a lot. Thank you for the 25 gift of subs. I didn't build the jails for children. He did. And it's like kind of weird that he says that because, okay, so you don't have an issue with it, though. So you agree with Obama, I guess. Like, I don't understand. I've never understood this argument where, like, you're saying Obama built the camps, which you're right. He did, right? But I was critical of Obama building that, and I was critical of Obama continuing to implement some form of family separation. But Trump put it into overdrive, as always. So why are you even bringing up the fact that Obama did it? Like, it's just such a stupid way to deflect because, okay, so if it's something that you disagreed with, I mean, if it's like, are you bringing this up because you disagree with Barack Obama? No, you agree with Barack Obama. Okay, what does that say? I don't want to litigate the past. I'm just asking if you will do this. Well, you said your policy. This was a policy of the country. I don't believe we'll have to because we will send the whole family back. Yeah. He also says we're going to do concentration camps, but we're not going to do child separation because we're going to pack up the kids too. As in, we're going to put the children in the concentration camps. Does that help you understand the situation a little bit better? Was there another form of governance that happened not that long ago? Perhaps almost 100 years ago. Well, I guess, closer than that. Less than 100 years ago, where there was a policy of putting everyone in camps, including the children. An important fact to note here is that 1 in 15 families in the United States of America are mixed status families, as in 1 in 15 homes need to be broken into by the federal government or the National Guard or federal agents like BORTAC units, demanding their paperwork, asking other homes if they have undocumented migrants that they're housing, doing dragnets with the express purpose of putting all of those people, men, women, children, into these concentrated camps. Raids at workplaces, raids in towns. I'm just saying, like, this is something that he is signaling he's going to do. It was his signature policy that he said he was going to do. Deport them together? I would much rather deport them together, yes, than separate. By the way, when you talk about separation, we have 325,000 children here during Democrats, and this was done by the Democrats who are right now sex slaves or dead, and they were all allowed. Many of the people who voted for you, as you mentioned moments ago, cited high prices, particularly of food and groceries. If you deport millions of migrant agricultural workers, won't the food prices rise sharply? No, because we're going to let people in. But we have to let them in legally. We don't want people to come in from jails. We don't want the jails of Venezuela and many other countries. Why are you wearing my country shirt? Just curious. I don't know, man, because it's a sick shirt. The fuck's wrong with you? Just take the W, Lithuanian Andy. Oh my God. He's asked so many times too. He's been timed out for asking that question over and over again. Like, what do you think my answer is going to be, man? What do you think I'm going to say? Because I fucking hate Lithuania or something? Like, what is happening? Why are you wearing my country shirt? Just curious. Why are you wearing my country shirt? You got timed out. Still consistently is asking it. It's because I'm Lithuanian in my heart. Okay? In my heart, I'm Lithuanian. That's why. Estonia is not even number 1. Maybe it's number 2. Lithuania number 1, Estonia number 3. Okay? How about that? I'm tired of all the fucking positive play that Latvia, Estonia, all these other countries are getting. It's time for Lithuania, baby. So, anyway, getting back to this. No, because we're going to let people in. We're going to have to let them in legally. Your transition co-chair, Howard Lutnick, said your appointees will be vetted for loyalty. Are you going to ask appointees take a loyalty pledge? He doesn't have to do that. If they don't follow your orders, will you fire them? If I think it's appropriate, I'd fire them. That makes sense. Okay. Does that go for civil servants? You put Elon Musk in charge of Doge, along with Vivek Ramaswamy, but on Musk specifically given the power to oversee agencies that regulate his companies. Isn't that a conflict of interest? I don't think so. Yeah. He doesn't care. It's pure graft. It is in the purest sense of the word, a conflict of interest. There's no questions about this. Okay? I mean, that's it. You got a billionaire who owns multiple companies who are being investigated by the regulatory agencies, and now he's in charge. He has influence over said regulatory agencies. That's it. That's a conflict of interest. He doesn't give a shit, though. But Elon Musk is talking about cuts that would directly affect NASA, which would then directly affect SpaceX's company. Isn't that the textbook definition of a conflict of interest? I think that Elon puts the country long before his company. That's fucking so false. It's so obviously false. Like, yeah, dude, totally. Elon Musk definitely puts country over the interest. What a ridiculous crock of shit. It's just like, the craziest part about it is not that Trump says this, but also people believe it. You know what I mean? How do people believe this nonsense? I just don't understand it. Like, how the fuck does anyone turn around and say, yeah, I believe it. This is real. Yeah, this is a good billionaire. This is a good CEO. He's our guy. God. Americans are so dumb, dude. What do you plan to do? I mean, I'll give you an example. We want to move the schools back to the States. We want to, he's talking about abolishing the Department of Education. A virtual closure of the Department of Education in Washington. Virtual closure, where you're going to need some people just to make sure they're teaching English in the schools. Okay, English and mathematics, let's say. It's great. It's great to have the absolute dumbest people in charge of making America even dumber. And then 10 years down the line, we will look back at this and go, how the fuck did we drop the ball so hard? How do we drop the ball so hard? Look, and then he always brings up Norway. He'll bring up Norway, sometimes even China. Like, he brought up Norway and China in a conversation where he was like, look, they're beating us. And it's like, yeah, they are. Except it's the exact opposite. Because they have a centralized structure and a focus on making sure educational outcomes are as even as possible. That can only be done through a public system. This is what is so frustrating. As a high school teacher, this will, one, completely get rid of special education funding, allow states to essentially privatize quality schooling, cause way more pushback than he thinks. I think we're so cooked. Like, I don't know. It's just, we are making the country shit. We are straight up. Norway's capitalist when you're criticizing socialism, and it's socialist when you want to copy their policies. Yeah, because Norway, much like every other fucking country, okay, is, first of all, I've never said Norway's socialist, but Norway, much like every other country, is a mixed market economy. It has some socialized aspects, and it has plenty of capitalism also. I would never call Norway a socialist state. Ultimately, it's a capitalist mixed market economy. So is America, for the record. It's just that the socialization, the socialized aspects of American existence are very limited. It's ascetic in comparison to these other European counterparts. But people do this all the time. That's what reactionaries do. I mean, yeah, they also do this. You're right, but they also do this for China. You know, they'll be like, China is terrifying. Is a communist shithole. But then also when they want to talk about like the abolition of poverty, they're like, capitalism has been tremendous for China. They've destroyed at the global stage. They've eradicated global extreme poverty levels in China because of capitalism. Everyone knows you're a reactionary. Me? I don't think you understand what that word means. But yeah, he's talking about like, you know, a closure of the Department of Education and bringing it back to the states. Like, decentralization of this sort is genuinely terrifying, I think. Like, what we need is more funding for public education and none of this like public-private partnership. Last question on your transition. If you decline to sign the ethics agreement as a part of, I don't know anything about it, the ethics document, I don't know. I would sign an ethics document. Will you disclose who the donors are to your transition to my campaign? No, paying for the transition. There will be an announcement on that this week. I really have no problem disclosing anything. That's great, Mr. President. Just so you know, I heard this a couple days ago. I have no problem. I'd rather disclose it right up front. I have no problem with it. I've got a question for you about the campaign. Was there a moment when you thought you would lose? I like not to think of that. The power of positive thinking, right? But there were some moments when, you know, there were some bad things done in my campaign. There were a lot of fake polls. They were absolutely fake. Look at an example. Very good pollster in Iowa. Gold standard in Iowa. And then a couple weeks before the election, she had me up 4. And then that brought it way down below 1918. That was a big story because I was only up 4 when she did that, where I was down 3. And that became headlines all over the place just before the election. When you saw that, did you think you were going to lose? I thought it was a wrong poll because we had an Emerson poll that had us up 18, you know. What was the darkest moment? I think we have an obligation with the 60 Minutes interviews my opponent. There's a news program. Speaking of Kamala Harris, what do you think her worst mistakes was? Taking the assignment, number 1, because you have to know what you're good at. Did she make any tactical mistakes? I think that when she wouldn't talk to anybody, it shone a light on her. In other words, if she would have gone out and just did interviews that are comparable to Steve, if there's anybody comparable would say, could you do an interview here, an interview there? You know, she didn't do anything. Oh my God, he's not wrong. And people said, is there something wrong with her? Why would they? I mean, I'm doing this interview with you. I did interviews with, if I had the time, anybody that would ask, I'd do interviews. I watched the whole thing, sir. Yes. Oh, good. I hope you liked it. But I found it to be a pleasure to do it. It's not like he did that. He did. Trump went on so many podcasts. He went on, guys, one thing that I always talk about with respect to Donald Trump and the way he campaigns is he will go on. He went on Aiden Ross's kick stream, chat. What are we talking about? He went, at the time, he didn't just go on Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or any number of different podcasts, but he also would go on like random Republican news shows that were getting like 12,000 views. Okay? Like, if you recall, I talked about this on a couple different occasions. If there is a place that Donald Trump could secure 10 votes, 20 votes, 1,000 votes, he will go out and get it. Okay? He will go out and get it. Whether they are the Amish or whether they are a random Native American tribe, he will go out and he will meet them where they're at. He will min-max. Exactly. Maximum efficiency. He'd do a local radio interview in a town with a population of 3,000 if he believed that at least half of them would vote for him. Exactly. Exactly. And he did do that because he was interested in winning. Yeah. An example that we use quite frequently is the lobster people in Maine. Exactly. The issue here, however, for Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump is that Donald Trump can do that because he's a telegenic figure. He's a TV personality. He knows how to do that. Kamala Harris does not know how to do that. I'm not convinced that there is someone else who can emulate that in the Republican Party, by the way. I don't think JD Vance is that guy. The door knocking thing you posted earlier. Oh yeah.